Hello everybody, here we are today and we're going to be talking about the NHL's top dogs and the fact that they've been able to stay on top in league standings compared to previous seasons. A few teams in mind. So before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the NHL has seen some surprise teams this season that have been able to start out the year relatively well, but I kind of wanted to focus on some teams that have been doing well for a while now that have continued to look really good through this point of the season. So the Boston Bruins, Colorado Avalanche, and Vegas Golden Knights are all three teams that are the remaining unbeaten teams in the league. Sides that have been really good for a while. Let's kind of talk about last season for them, and then this season, what are my overall thoughts? So Colorado last season had a good season, but not a good season if that makes any sense. They were coming off of a Stanley Cup, looking to defend their title going into this past season. They weren't able to do that, but they dealt with a ton of injuries and were still able to not only make the playoffs, but I have 109 points, good enough for 7th in the league for league overall standings, win their division before ultimately bowing out of the first round against the Seattle Kraken. Colorado is still a very, very good team. They were pegged as one of the Stanley Cup favorites going into the season. Things continue to seem to be well for them, obviously, because here they are in this little video, but starting off, they have an NHL record for most road wins consecutively, 15 games stretching back in last season. The Avs may have some injuries, but guess what? They are still looking so good and just really are in a spot right now where they very well will win the Central Division yet again. Boston, the Bruins, dealt with so much stuff going from the playoffs to the offseason to the regular season. Obviously, the playoffs last year, first round after winning the President's Trophy, and then losing David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron, big hit. Here we are, Boston, through 6 games, and all that going on is unbeaten. I will say this. I'm not going to say that they are a bad team because clearly they're able to get out to a good lead, but their schedule has been relatively easy. 4 out of the 5 teams that they have played to kick off the season are not playoff teams from last year. So out of their 6 games, they played Chicago twice, they played Anaheim, they played San Jose, and they played Nashville. The only team that they've played so far that was a playoff team last year was the Los Angeles Kings. I don't want to say that the Bruins are going to be hitting a wall, but I will say this. It's a pretty easy schedule. If they're able to continue to play well outside of games where they are playing bottom feeders, that's going to be great. But still, to get off to a good start with Detroit being right there and being really good, with Tampa Bay kind of dealing with some injuries, and then some other teams kind of getting out of the gate a little bit slow, Buffalo, Ottawa, Florida. Like I mentioned in my Detroit video yesterday, it is good to be able to see them get out to this early lead, because who's to say that they don't need it later on as they play tougher opposition, as maybe deal with injuries, as some other teams like Tampa Bay get Vasilevsky back. Still, kind of one of those things that I didn't expect them to start out the year unbeaten through 6 games. And then for Vegas, a team that obviously had a lot of questions going into last season, were able to answer those with a Stanley Cup, had a lot of questions going into this season. They had some concerns about how things were going to go in net. They had some concerns about some guys that they had to ship off that were franchise pillars, if you will. And here they are now, setting records and just doing things really well. They're off to a 7-game win streak to kick off the season. They are the record holders now for Stanley Cup champions, defending Stanley Cup champions, for unbeaten streak to start the season, beating the 85-86 Oilers that I believe started out 6-0-0. So yeah, really good there, and I think the good news is for the Golden Knights. They've been able to prove doubters wrong before, and at the same time too, if they got off to a hot start here like they are doing, that's really good, because you have the Pacific, which is kind of jumbled right now, and you're not really sure what's going to happen there. You know, the Vancouver Canucks are off to a good start, the Kings are right there, but the Oilers have had a really bad start by their standards. So just one of those things, you get out to an early lead, and you kind of hope to run with it and then hold on to it. Vegas looking like they very well are a walk early on for the playoffs. And I just kind of wanted to talk about these teams because obviously over the past 2 seasons, you've got the 2022 Stanley Cup champion in the Colorado Avalanche, the 2023 champions in the Vegas Golden Knights, and the 2023 President's Trophy winner in the Boston Bruins. 3 teams that have been really good. It's not just last year that they were good. They've been able to be in the talks for Stanley Cup final contention for a little bit now. And it is weird to see them all off to such a good start. I don't want to say that it's necessarily a bad thing, because I don't mind good teams being good, but it kind of reaffirms that we will see some regulars in the playoffs this year that are probably going to be in talk for, again, competing for a Stanley Cup. yeah, there are some teams that are out there that are looking to get over these teams, but at the same time right now, nobody has been able to beat them through this early stretch of the season, meaning that they are getting closer and closer with every game to locking up a playoff spot. We're not even a quarter of the way through the year, but every game you win, that you don't lose, when you haven't lost at all, it means you're probably going to make the postseason. Now, we will see if the reign of terror continues, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe it slows down just a little bit so we can all kind of catch up. But yeah, those are the top dogs of the NHL so far. Who do you think will be the first to lose out of these three? And then where do you think all three will end in the standings in terms of league standings? Who will finish in first, second, and third? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you love hockey, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.